Hello, and welcome to Talk Art. I'm Sally Rain, and I'll be your host as we delve into the world of the artist and the art that's all around us. Our guest is Ruth Waters, a sculptor whose works include beautiful abstract hardwood sculptures. She is also the founder and director of the Peninsula Museum of Art in Burlingame. She's here to demonstrate her wood carving techniques. Welcome, Ruth.
Well, thank you, Sally. I'm delighted to be here. And just for beginners, I brought two small pieces that I usually take to schools when I do demos because the wood is so silky to the touch. And I think it's okay to touch. It's essential.
Well, yeah,
now, the piece you're holding is an impressionist version of a cat. And what's significant about it is that it is carved in a piece of Macassar ebony. Now, Macassar ebony is something you will not find locally. And it is an ebony variety that grows in the Macassar Straits off of the east coast of Africa. And nowadays, it's very, very difficult to actually get these fine, exotic, tropical woods.
Oh, I'm sure. Yes. It's beautiful. It looks almost like tiger's eye, like the stone.
Oh, yes.
Very layered.
Yes. And if you feel it, it's a very fine-grained wood. Now, I brought this piece along because I was given a piece of a persimmon tree. And a persimmon tree is a relative of ebony. So I thought, aha, a gorgeous wood. Well, it's very nice wood, but I like the form. But it's not a pretty wood, not like the Macassar ebony.
Definitely different color.
My solution was, when I finished it, to take it to the bronze foundry and ask them to make a mold and cast it in bronze. And so I did, and they did. And it's right behind you.
So that's this one here
Yes.
on this beautiful stand.
There you are.
Very nice.
And I know that's not the color you expect from bronze, but the patina artist who works for the foundry does exquisite work, and that is his personal special formula.
Oh, nice. You brought some images of your studio and some of your larger sculptures that are there.
Yes.
So let's take a look at those now.
You know, I brought a few that look, the one in the middle there that kind of looks sort of mushroomy. When you see it, it's behind me over here somewhere. What I found particularly interesting about it is that the log had been a cherry tree that was grafted. You know how they graft different fruits on? Well, this was a cherry tree, and I can see where the cherry tree was allowed to have one major branch to stay cherries, but the other three branches were grafted to peach and plum and apricot.
Interesting. So different color woods inside one piece.
But you see, the DNA is correct because they're all stone fruits, so that the grafts would take. Like you can graft apples and pears together because they have the same DNA for, we think about the insides of the seeds and things.
Right. So when you create these, you start with a tree trunk and then what is your technique to get it to look like that? I mean, do you start with the idea?
Yeah, strip the bark off, see if I've got any obvious problems. You always want to find out the bad news first. And then I think about it until I have a clear image in my mind. And I get the chalk out and make some lines on it, and then I start carving. But I have to know where I'm going before I start carving, because once it's cut, it's gone.
Right.
There's no going back. It's all subtractive. So that's the way it is. And then it's carve, 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 and make a mess. And, and eventually you get to where you're rasping and filing and smoothing down the surface, because the tools, you'll see in a minute, the tools I use, they're curved, they're called gouges. They're chisels, but they're called gouges because they cut a curved surface. So these are the tools. I use this one, the number 5 gouge meaning it's a curved cutting edge. Probably does 85% of the carving work. And my mallet is a lignum vitae mallet, which means it's heavy. I've been working with this for probably 25, 30 years, and it's showing some wear, but not a whole lot. And are you ready? I'm noisy. To go from the carved surface to a sanding surface, I use Sureform planes. And that, think of a cheese grater. It slices, little tiny slices off, makes a mess. But because the tools have curved surfaces, it means you've got this kind of a surface.
Right.
So you want to get that all down flat and smooth. And then it's sanding. And I have my piece of leather, and I'll start with usually 60 grit open coat garnet paper, and it just, you know, forever. You always sand with the grain meaning the direction in which the tree grew. So we'll make believe that this is ready to sand. And then it goes through to very, very fine sandpaper. That there's a 220. When I finish the 220, then I'm ready to oil the whole thing.
What type of oil do you use?
Hand rubbed linseed oil, raw linseed oil, not the boiled. Yeah, you see how the two forms are interrelated.
Yes.
Okay, well that was chosen by a curator for an exhibition at the Rockefeller Center Gallery in New York City. I thought, oh boy.
Yay.
And then I got a call from the curator, and she said, you aren't going to believe this, but the gallery manager says your piece is too erotic to show in New York. And,
and it's just
do, you know?
two wooden twists.
Yeah.
That's so
anyway,
funny.
People see what they're looking for.
I guess so.
And so, but I thought, well, that must be a pretty good piece. And so I took it to the foundry, and they made a mold. And I have sold 7 of the bronzes from that, and I have the 8th one in my studio.
Wonderful.
And that was the beginning of a dynasty of intimacy pieces. There's Intimacy 2.
So this is a bronze as well.
Now that was carved in a maple tree and cast in bronze.